50 of the weirdest video game facts. If I don't say, wow, that's weird, at least once in this video, then I'll be upset and ask for my money back. I didn't pay for this. I'm stealing content from T5G again. Oh no, here we go.
50 weirdest gaming facts. Sonic is one of the most popular video game characters, but did you know his first appearance wasn't even in his own game? He was first introduced as an air freshener in Radmobile over 30 years ago.
Wait, that's the first instance of Sonic the Hedgehog? I mean, that's kind of cool. I found it really weird that they would make an original character to make their little keychain instead of just make it like an actual hedgehog. That's cute though.
We all know how expensive—
Wait, that's just straight up it? That's, what, is that true? What? I didn't know that.
collector's editions are.
That's weird. Thought I was gonna say it, didn't you? You thought I was gonna say it already. Not in the first fact. No
You
shot.
could spend hundreds just for a statue, but in Dying Light, that statue is an Oscar. When the game came out, they offered the Spotlight Edition, which gave you professional acting lessons, off-road driving classes, along with VIP tickets for Dying Light the movie. Of course, the main feature was that you were a supporting role, and you could even be the voice of Kyle in game, all for the low price of $10 million.
What? Okay, personal trailer on set, stuntman and parkour training, off-road driving course, original copy of the script, become the voice actor of Kyle Crane, FX makeup session, 10 V. What is this, man? Is this actually a movie that it came to pass, or is this a joke? If you spend $10 million in any version of a video game, then what are you doing? No one's spending $10 million on Dying Light. I'm sorry. People don't care that much about Dying Light, even though the original was a very good game.
FIFA and Gran Turismo are some of the biggest sports franchises out there, so naturally, there's been some weird things in the past. Well, it turns out the copies they used to sell would come with a scratch and sniff sticker that actually smelled like a soccer field or a racetrack. And everyone's at Fortnite nowadays, but the strangest cameo happened years ago. All over the streets and screens of South Korea, Chris Pratt started to show up on advertisements, and he's not even in the game.
What? Just in South Korea? That makes about as much sense as the John Cena Bing Chilling China ads.
Wondering how much work goes into modern games, Arkham Knight is a prime example. Turns out Batman's cape alone took 2 years of work. One developer spent tens of thousands of hours on 700 different animations. Well, luckily some decisions were scrapped before release, like how in God of War, Atreus was meant to be bald. They wanted him to look more like Kratos, but you could see why this didn't happen.
Why would you shave his head?
If you grew up on the Ratchet and Clank games, you probably didn't pay attention to their titles. Otherwise, you would have figured out they're all innuendos, like Going Commando, Quest for Booty, or my personal favorite, Up Your Arsenal. Back in 2011, to celebrate the release of Skyrim, Bethesda challenged anyone born on 11/11 to name their kid Dovahkiin, not expecting people to actually do it. Well, of course, a couple rose to the challenge, and as a result, they won free Bethesda games for life. Gaming—
Okay, but you have a kid called Dovahkiin. Is it worth your child being bullied in school? Okay, to be fair, the child probably doesn't go by Dovahkiin. Actually, Dova's a really cool name. Dova. That's a cool name. And that might be like their middle name, so they probably don't go by the middle name. Still, you might get a little bit bullied. I feel like they'll be alright, actually. Getting free Bethesda games for life is a bit of a ripoff, though, considering they're gonna probably release about 2 more before you die of old age. So you basically made about $100.
Wouldn't be where it is without Grand Theft Auto. It's the most popular video game of all time, but what if it never happened? A long time ago, we had a close call, because GTA was supposed to be a racing game called Race and Chase. A glitch made police cars attack the player, and the beta testers loved it so much, causing Rockstar to change the entire concept. Next time you wish bugs didn't exist, just remember some of them made history.
Okay, I feel like someone would eventually made Do Crime Simulator though, right?
Devil May Cry. The devs were working on a different game called Onimusha Warlords, and here they discovered a glitch that caused the enemies to float. They actually loved the idea and put it into DMC. A racing game that made the worst decision of all time is Burnout 2. I don't know why anyone would approve this, but on the day of release, the studio promised to cover the speeding tickets of anyone who was caught. Well, the UK government had to step in, leaving the devs in serious trouble.
Are you— what? We'll cover the speeding tickets of everyone? Whoa, that's crazy. Wow. They're like, yo, just do crimes. Just let's go out and let's just like really mess each other up. Let's do some crimes, baby. Come on.
Nintendo has a family-friendly reputation, but back in the day, things were very different. Kirby used to smoke cigarettes, read dirty magazines, and even curse. Another character that was changed is Kratos. He's iconic for his red tattoos, but when coming up with the design, the devs originally had them as blue. The only reason they were changed is because he looked like the barbarian from Diablo.
Oh, wow, he actually does. To be fair, red fits him so much more because he's enraged and it's like red blood, and the ashes are supposedly the ashes of his family that cover him so that he can never forget that he got his own family killed.
And so by now, most Sonic fans know that he's notorious for not being able to swim, but no one knows why. I mean, we've all asked ourselves, is it because hedgehogs can't swim in real life? Well, they can. Well, the devs didn't know that, they just assumed they couldn't, and it wasn't until years later they found out otherwise. By then, it was too late to give Sonic swimming lessons.
Oh, well, Sonic doesn't need to swim anyway. You can just run on land. So, I mean, you can run in water. Sorry, running on land is a very common thing. Most things can do that.
This is a worldwide phenomenon, but it was originally called something else. Imagine loading up and seeing Space Mafia instead. It just doesn't feel right. The gameplay involved constantly doing tasks to prevent imposters from winning. It was apparently super sweaty. If GTA 5 feels like an insanely accurate...
Really? It's super sweaty, was it? See, Among Us is actually super sweaty. I stopped playing Among Us because people would analyze. They'd say, oh, it took you 17 microseconds less than it should have to do that task there that you stood there pretending to do. You must be the imposter. And at that point I said, this isn't fun.
Portrayal of LA, that's because Rockstar went to extreme lengths to get it right. All the gang members you see walking around Los Santos are voiced by real-life gangsters. One had literally gotten out of prison the day before filming. They didn't want goofy LA voice actors, and when they handed the script to the gang members, they threw the script on the floor and did their own thing instead. After Mario Party came out on Nintendo 64, 90 people complained to the New York State Attorney's Office that they kept getting friction burns from playing, and they ended up suing Nintendo. After it was settled out of court, Nintendo of America were forced to offer gloves to every household that bought the game.
What? That's crazy. They got friction burns because they aren't good enough. I guess like when you do that on the controller, when you do that, I guess that can kind of give you friction burns, but just don't. What do you mean? Just don't.
In Fallout 3, there's a weapon called the Fat Man, and when you fire it, it sounds like this. Well, did you know the ding is actually taken straight from the real lunch bell at Bethesda's offices?
No, I didn't know that. I was expecting a Fallout fact to be something that I knew. I mean, that's my area of expertise. Bethesda games, I'm all on top of that, but no, I didn't know that.
In 2019, a world record was broken after someone sold a copy of the original Mario Bros. For $100,000. It is the only known sticker seal copy in the world. Five Nights at Freddy's is the most famous horror game of all time, and it only...
Why don't Nintendo make, like, 10 more and then just sell them to make some revenue? The next Switch flops, it's fine. Just make a few of those, you'll be golden.
Because Scott Cawthon was roasted for making bad games. He released a children's game called Chipper and Sons, and people laughed at the character design, calling it a scary animatronic. Let's just say he turned his weaknesses into strengths. In World of Warcraft, the starting area is full of low-level enemies, encouraging you to explore the world to rank up. Of course, one player said, nope, I'm staying right here, and they maxed out their character just from killing low-level enemies, mining, and picking herbs. It is one of the hardest grinds out there, taking him 173 excruciating days.
That's just a South Park episode. Why would you do that?
You play as Marvel characters in a ton of games, but the first time one ever appeared was a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, because of course it was, and yeah, you can skate around as Spider-Man. There's two things that'll never break. It's a Nokia phone and your old Game Boy. If you want a proof of how ridiculously strong these are, a medic in the Gulf War had his very own survive a bombing. Nintendo thought it was a lost cause when it was sent in for repair, only for them to put in a game cartridge, and it worked fine.
That's crazy. That's mad. It still works? Okay, that's really impressive. They don't make them like they used to, I tell you.
Nintendo are good at safety, and that's why they banned their most famous employee from biking to work. Miyamoto, the creator of Mario, used to bike there until they stepped in and said it was too dangerous. He's way too valuable to risk it. Minecraft is the biggest game on the planet, yet the first version of it only took 6 days to make. Atari is a name you could only associate with retro games and arcades because they really fell off in the 90s. Well, that is all thanks to one of their worst performing titles in gaming history, E.T. There's a rumor that this sold so badly, Atari had to go into the desert and bury millions of game cartridges. It was just a myth for a long time, until journalists spent years tracking it down and excavating the site. This pit of games is worth $108,000.
Is it though? Is it really worth $108,000? Who's buying it for that much? Also, why did they bury it in the desert? Like, why did they need to bury it? Was it for tax reasons? I'm so confused as to why they felt the need to go into the middle of the desert like Jesse Pinkman and Walt, like they're cooking meth, except they're just burying ET copies instead.
One of the best Elden Ring players in the world is Miss Mika. She has pulled off insane runs, like when she beat 2 copies of Elden Ring at the same time, one with a controller and one with a dance mat.
Come on, yes! That's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know. There are some insane gamers out there. Miss Mika is one of the craziest gamers I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know how this is possible. I can't even comprehend the amount of mental capacity you need to be able to do this. It's insane.
If you're wondering why Nathan Drake is so handsome, it's because his original design was crazy. Naughty Dog originally based him on Johnny Knoxville from Jackass, but
really?
felt too goofy and mixed his design with Nathan Fillion.
Okay, that makes more sense. Wow, Johnny Knoxville? That's a strange thing to base it off, especially like a serious, or I guess he's kind of goofy. But Johnny Knoxville is from Jackass, and that is the most goofy thing that you can see.
Now, this is one of the more understandable facts, but in Japan, one of the most famous moments in Fallout 3 is completely missing. You could choose to detonate a nuclear bomb destroying the town of Megaton, but Japan does censor this for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Japan would censor the nuclear bombing of a town section. You know, it's not really required. It is fun though to do it in the game.
Steve Downs has been the voice of Master Chief for decades, but he's been a radio host for even longer. So anyone who lived in California could tune into the radio and hear Master Chief presenting every night.
The salute to the women warriors of rock comes to a close.
It is funny because Master Chief probably has about 17 lines of dialogue in every single game put together. No, anything after Halo 3 doesn't count. I'm sorry, I played them. They don't count anymore. They can't. Anything after Halo Reach is not a Halo game.
By the way, if you're wondering why it's called Super Mario Brothers, yeah, you guessed it, their last name is Mario. It's been a rumor for a long time, but in 2015, Miyamoto confirmed to fans in Japan that their names are Luigi Mario and Mario Mario. One of the coolest facts about Counter-Strike is that it was made by a fan of Half-Life. He turned this single-player story game into a multiplayer FPS mod, and Valve loved it. Immediately, they knocked down his door and bought the rights to it, turning Counter-Strike into a massive franchise.
Valve is so good at turning fan projects into massive games. I'm pretty sure wasn't Dota originally a mod that Valve ended up buying up as well? I know Portal was a student project that was then turned into a massive game, one of the best puzzle games of all time. Counter-Strike, one of the best FPS games of all time. You got Dota, one of the most popular MOBAs of all time. Like, Valve just absorbs them and then doesn't make any games. Oh no, wait, they made a new Counter-Strike. However, they will not make another one because they cannot count to 3.
A similar thing happened to Prince of Persia. This was one of Ubisoft's biggest series at the time, so they decided to make a spin-off before realizing it was too good, it should be its own original game. Say hello to Assassin's Creed. Speaking of origin stories, during the making of the first Metal Gear Solid, Kojima struggled to map out the levels and used Lego bricks to design them. His family was worried that he spent too much time away from home and were horrified to learn that he was playing with Legos all day, not realizing it was for Metal Gear.
It's the equivalent of a content creator just playing video games all day and the parents like, oh no, my son, he's a nerd. All he does is play Vimeo game. But then it turned out that Vimeo game video get lots of views and then can make money.
Even further, PacMan was originally named something else, PacMan. But when it came to releasing him in the USA, the devs are scared of Vandals turning the P into an F, so they called him PacMan. Nintendo has the potential to do hilarious things sometimes, especially when you see the ideas that get rejected. In the early 2000s, they were promoting the release of Super Mario Strikers, and this was one of the ads. Ironically, they didn't have the balls to go through with it.
That is such 2005 advertisement humor. Do you remember back in the day when they'd always have like gratuitous boobage on video game posters, except it's like an ad for a Game Boy or something? This is a funny ad, man. This is funny. Look at this. What is going on? Look at this. Why did they make this? It's a Game Boy. What is going on? Lifetime warranty. Oh. That's such 2005 like ads. They really know how to do it back then.
One of the funniest things they've done though is in the Japanese version of Mario Kart. After winning, Peach will pull out a wine bottle and get drunk. Death Stranding involves a lot of hiking. People basically just call it a walking simulator. So of course, one YouTuber took that literally. He turned his treadmill into a PS4 controller and used it to exercise while playing. In Uncharted 3,
that's a pretty good idea.
To tease their next game, so they put a newspaper about zombies on the floor. Now, whenever I played The Last of Us, they knew the devs loved to put secrets in newspapers, only for them to find one about an Uncharted movie starring Justin Bieber as Nathan Drake. I mean, they weren't far off. In Cyberpunk 2077,
Wait, so Justin Bieber is canon in The Last of Us? Do you think Justin Bieber survived the zombie outbreak, or is he a clicker?
7. Someone made a mod that lets you sleep with Johnny Silverhand, aka Keanu Reeves. The developers were not impressed and shut it down pretty quickly, but when Keanu was asked about it, he found it hilarious.
Really? Oh, he seems like the kind of guy that'd be like, oh, they made a mod that lets you have sex with me? Oh, that's awesome, man. I hope they're enjoying it.
Video game actor is Roger Clark, who is known for playing Arthur Morgan in Red Dead 2. Thing is, he also played over 24 characters in the game, and one day, Mary's actor was unavailable to do motion capture. So, Roger had to step in and record a scene where she mourns Arthur Morgan's grave. Yeah, he had to mourn his own character. In the handbook of Super Mario Kart, Nintendo encouraged players to do something that was forbidden. There's nothing worse than playing split screen and your friend cheats by looking at your POV, but Nintendo recommended that you do this to get an advantage in the manual. And it turns out Silent Hill, despite being known for its fog,
not right.
wasn't supposed to have it this way. The entire series is famous for this foggy atmosphere, yet the developers only added it because the hardware at the time couldn't load everything in properly.
Okay, but could you imagine Silent Hill with no fog, which is like a sunny day, maybe like slightly towards dusk and evening? It wouldn't be the same.
In 2019, a legendary producer of Pokemon revealed that one of their programmers had a huge appetite. He was constantly sleeping and eating, so around the office they nicknamed him Kabi, the Japanese name for Kirby. Well, they loved it so much, they designed Snorlax, and his Japanese name is Kabigon, a tribute to the employee.
Dude, the Japanese offices, they just like fat shame their employees. It's like, oh, dude, you're so fat, dude. We're gonna make a Pokemon that's like really fat and just like sleeps all day. Cause dude, you're so fat, man. Like, dude, you're the fattest guy, the fattest man that has existed.
That reminds me of how Chain Chomps and Mario are based on a dog that chased Miyamoto as a kid. It would be on a leash and try to run to him, which is why they acted just like that. Last year, Nintendo was about to reveal the gameplay and title for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but then
the Queen died.
Queen Elizabeth died, and rumors started to circulate that the Direct had been postponed. After 5 days, they dropped the announcement, but Nintendo UK remained silent. You had to go to the American YouTube channel to watch it, and it wasn't until a month later that the UK finally started promoting the game.
Do you think that, does Nintendo think that if you just don't post it on the UK account, British people can't see it? Like, no, it's not on the UK account, so no British people will see it. They won't be sad or anything that the Queen's dead. I thought it was really funny that there was such a close amount of time between Tears of the Kingdom being announced and the Queen dying. As a British man, I'm allowed to have any opinion on this I want, and I thought it was really funny, all right?
On the topic of the Queen, it's no surprise Nintendo wanted to pay respect to her because she had a huge influence on them. In 2009, they made a 24-karat gold Wii and sent it to Buckingham Palace to promote big family games. And I mean, there's no family bigger than the royals.
What? No one played that. No one has ever played that Wii. No, not a single person, not even the kids played
Even
that
a
Wii.
royal wedding isn't as rare as this one in Tokyo. During that same year, a man fell in love with Nene from Love Plus. He called her his dream woman, and I kid you not, literally married her and live streamed it. One of my favorite things to do is look at voice actors and see what else they do. Trust me, you get shocking results sometimes. Carolyn Lawrence is the voice actor for Ashley in Resident Evil 4, a pretty iconic role, but she also voices Sandy and SpongeBob.
Voice actors are very diverse, much like this YouTube channel. And if there's something you'd like me to react to, leave it in my Discord server.